Now we move on, gentlemen, to something that apparently has caused some controversy. It was yesterday's Jack's Encyclopedia playoff final, which Vish rightly won. I think everyone could say he's been the stand-up player this season. He deserved his victory.
Completely agree.
And he's been very, very humble in victory, as we've come to expect from the man. People are saying that there was some sort of, controversy about me bringing the game into disrepute or something like that. I would, as I've often said, if you can prove that, if you can find anything, then absolutely fine.
Play it!
Decorum!
No, he just mouthed it.
Did he mouth it?
Did he mouth it?
I never mouthed anything.
Check the tips. Check the tips.
Because I was in the studio because I had a little break in my child trafficking schedule, apparently.
And punching.
If people haven't heard yesterday's episode, Jim,
I'll just leave that there.
nap.
I was essentially on the VAR, and I saw you very, very clearly.
Well, I'd like-
very clearly mouth the words Galatasaray.
very, very happy to. I covered my mouth. Very happy.
Well,
to,
I saw you say it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you covered one half of your mouth. The half of your mouth faced towards me, you covered.
What was
lot
it?
of cameras, two-faced more like.
Again, I think I've answered this. And I'll answer it again. There is no conclusive proof that what I did, because I could have been saying Balabassarai.
Yeah.
And who
It's
were
one of
they?
those
You
words
ever heard
that
of a team called Balabassarai?
It's one of those words.
Yeah.
It's one of those words that is quite hard to pretend it's another word, isn't it, really? And that's, if you'd have said literally any other club, you would have been absolutely fine.
But Peter, you were the referee.
Yeah. And I didn't say, I was concentrating on my part of the game.
right.
And I think you let the game down, you let competitive sport down.
Uh-huh.
Also,
Things that you've done.
how is this framed as footage has emerged? We recorded it.
Yeah, it's emerged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still
Dark Forces. Are you claiming Dark Forces?
Well, no, I am claiming
All
Dark
footage
Forces.
emerges.
Yeah, but you look at it, it's clearly AI. It's a deep fake. It's a bloody deep fake. I've been
annoying that
done
all
by
this-
a deep fake.
It's annoying that all this would work. My favourite thing about that particular controversy
Oh, yes.
was a comment on YouTube that accused us of being ill-informed and under-researched, to which someone replied, "Mate, do you genuinely think none of them have heard of Galatasaray or Olympiacos?"
In that moment, we hadn't.
Yeah.
Balabassaray.
I also liked this, and it's absolutely spot on, from a user called Silly Goose 624. Standard here is very poor. 2010 World Cup levels of rumboggery.
We'll have a bit of rumboggery on the
Yeah.
Football Ramble. If you haven't listened to the Jack's Encyclopedia episode, then please do so, because it's a hoot. It's a riot.
It was much better than the 2010 final of
In the World Cup.
In the World Cup. So, but no vuvuzelas. So maybe that's what we'll do.
There
next
was
season.
controversy, though.
There was controversy.
Yeah, I did feel
Someone should have been sent off.
Yeah, I did feel like I'd been studded in the chest at one point. But I emerged victorious.
In the heart.
Indeed, you did, Vish. Much to the glee of you and your household. Now we move on, everybody, from that bollocks to Crystal Palace, who have met with UEFA officials. They met with them yesterday to discuss their future in the Europa League after concerns over multi-club ownership rules. Now, at the time of recording, that's where we are. They met with UEFA officials yesterday. There's been no more word on that. And I was a bit like, oh no, oh no, lads, oh no. Don't worry, the FA Cup, that's safe. That's in the bag.
It's in the bag.
Okay,
It's on the shelf.
Exactly, yeah, but it's very much just the Europa League. So John Textor, that guy, holds a 43% stake in Crystal Palace through his company Eagle Football. And he is also the owner of French club Lyon, who qualified for the Europa League with a 6th place finish in League 1. Now, no individual is allowed to have a significant say in the running of two clubs competing in the same UEFA competition. And it's that wording, a significant say, where Palace are going to try and appeal.
He's basically, his defence is that we sleep in separate rooms.
Yes. I think that's pretty much
I've not
it.
had significant control of this club for years. Ooh.
Well, Textor has been telling the French authorities that he's on the brink of selling his Palace shares for the last 6 months now, because obviously they've been asking him.
To be fair, he has, hasn't he? Even before this debacle,
Yes,
he
he
very
has.
much
Well,
wanted to be out.
He nearly bought Everton
Yes,
as well. He was
basically,
in for that. So
Famous non-Europa League botherers.
Yes, exactly. He thought I'll be okay with them. Well, Palace believe no rules have been broken, as John Textor, through his Eagle Football business, has only a 25% share of voting rights, alongside the other principal owners, Josh Harris, David Blitzer, he'll be mentioned again in a second, and chairman Steve Parish. Now, Steve Parish is the man who does the day-to-day running of the club. We all know him and his lovely hair, of course. So therefore, Palace will try to convince the UEFA's club financial control body that they have no influence over Lyon and that John Textor and his lot don't have decision-making powers at Palace.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no kind of Formula One
no
style.
collusion.
I'll let you go through. Yes, there's no collusion. It's just like Jack's Encyclopedias yesterday. There was no collusion. Okay.
Very above board. Do you not think this weird that that you can start a competition where one of the prizes is Europa League access when some of the clubs can't necessarily be in the Europa League? That seems absolutely baffling.
Peter, you're suggesting that everybody was across this. I think someone has just been flicking through. Oh, John Textor is in this photo. Is it what? That's basically what's happened.
I mean, but there are examples, aren't there, of clubs being sharing owners and being in the same competition, like Manchester City and Girona last season, and of course the Man United and Nice
Ineos
in the Europa League, of course, owned by Ineos, and it's just one of those rules that's just not enforced, isn't it?
They're slightly,
so if Palace end up, suffering and being the only team thus far to have suffered because of that will be outrageous.
There's subtle differences between.
There are, of course.
Those ones are with Girona and Manchester City,
right?
Because the management the structures are quite different. So look, I'm sceptical. I don't think your average football fan kind of likes to see that, but there are sort of slight difference, as I say, in the structure of that, which is why they were allowed to do it. So that does. I mean, I suppose it bodes somewhat well for Palace that they were.
I think they'll be fine. It'll be outrageous if they're not. But I mean, what happens if they're not fine is potentially even worse, because it could mean Brighton going to Europe instead of them.
So if Palace don't end up in the Europa League, then Forest would get their spot.
Right.
So to confuse matters more, Jim, David Blitzer, the guy I said we will get in a mention in a minute, he owns Brøndby, and they qualified for the Europa Conference League. So Palace couldn't then go in there.
Oh, God.
If indeed they fall foul of these things.
Could Marinakis buy the Textor shares and a few more at Palace and then pause them back to
Don't
Textor?
put ideas in his head.
Oh, no, look, he's got more, actually, so we should let Forest into the Europa League, actually. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you remember the last week of the season where there was all those permutations of finishing
They're
Europe?
still going.
It's still going.
I know.
It's proper number wang.
That should have been one of the permutations. What if Marinakis buys someone?
Yeah, exactly. We post it through to someone's letterbox.
Yeah.
Like
true
dog
enough.
dirt.
So,
Or creates like a smaller holding company, like a chiclet holding company.
Yeah, or puts it on in a brown paper bag, all the shares, sets it on fire, someone stamps on it, it's yours, so it's all over your feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
You've got
point.
shares all over your feet.
Yeah. And then if you throw it in the sea, if it floats, it's yours.
good on it.
Which shares?
Yes. See, it works.
See? Thank you.
If the shares fly away.
Yeah. You know, they were bad shares.
When the smoke comes out of the chimney stack,
Yes.
new shares have been created.
There you are, you see.
It's funny though that the of the competitions that have enforced this in terms of the ownership kerfuffle that's currently being discussed, the Club World Cup.
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
When
That's right.
Mexican club Leon, they were kicked out after a court case with the Court of Arbitration in Sport, because of Pachuca and their ownership dealings and the crossover there. So
One might suggest that a lot of the clubs in the Club World Cup are owned by the heart of every football fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a state of
Or
some
a state
kind.
of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting that the Club World Cup are on top of this. In a way.
Yeah.
It's almost like it freed up a space for just whoever they want.
Into
Also,
Miami, maybe.
yeah, I think you kind of. I think our general reading of it is fine. It's very unusual,
Yes.
and therefore will be okay. I mean, the fact that Textor has been basically kicking this down the road for about 6 months suggests he can do it for probably another 12 months.
But the funny thing is, though, that as I said, Steve Parish does the day-to-day. He's very much the face of all that in the board at Palace. And there were tensions between him and Textor for a while, because obviously Textor wanted more influence. And now Steve Parish has got basically say, go on, John, tell everybody I'm in charge. That's it, John. Go on. Who's the big man round here?
Nice.
You don't. He should do a press conference with Texter. I mean, you don't have any say around here, do you, John? No. He
Can we get him a microphone? Can someone get him a microphone?
Texter's
Speak up, John. Just talking to mine. Talking to mine.
Why have you
don't really do anything, do
Why
you?
have you tied strings to my arms?
Yeah.
I'm a puppet master.
John, can I ask, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
Indeed, yeah. So like we say, we think it's going to be fine, but it's still a little bit of a nervy, however long it's going to take for Palace.
It's a little bit of poor season spice, and I'm here for it.
That's exactly what it is. If the season was still going on, this would be sorted out behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But there is nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about.
Bring
so, good luck, Palace. But of course, if they have fallen foul of the rules, then we want the book thrown at them, don't we?
We've got to be consistent on that.
Yeah.
Whether it's 130 charges or it's one charge, go in 2-footed, please. But it's exactly the same.
There we are. Yeah. But again, the FA Cup is safe, so don't worry. That still counts. Or maybe we could create a new European competition for them.
Yeah.
The European Crystal Palace League.
The Crystal Cup.
The Crystal Cup. The Crystal Castle.
Yeah.
You mean like the enhanced games?
Yeah.
Kind of like all bets are off, do what you want.
Any financial impropriety. You can have 3 Ronaldos, 3 generations of Ronaldos.
If you want to mess with their blood, fine, but you can only do it in this competition.
The Baller League are missing a trick there, aren't they? They really
Extra
are.
legs, men with absolute hogs on them.
Yeah.
Well, like cyclists. Actually, a lot of them are enhanced.
Yes, good point, actually.
A lot of the ones that have been proved to be enhanced are enhanced.
There we are.
That's how you get out of that one.
It all makes sense.
Keep it in.
It all makes sense. Well, let's move on to a club who are doing absolutely fine. Manchester City have agreed a deal worth around £46.3 million plus bonuses for Tijjani Reijnders, which I think is a good deal. Pep really is trying to mug me off when I said it's over.
Yeah,
the Empire's fallen.
Yeah.
The signings they're making, I'm a bit like...
we are going to blame this on you if it just goes back to normal.
I'm going to stand my ground, Jim.
Yeah.
I am going to stand my ground. If they drop a point at all, I'm going to be shouting from the rooftops, it's over! Yeah.
It's such a lovely touch, isn't it? The way that I appreciate this is the equivalent of retail therapy.
Yes.
But the signings that he's getting really do fit what we've come to expect of him. It's not like...
It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, so, sometimes you might think, particularly with a club as big as... I suppose even for a club as big as City,
Yes.
that the signings can be made independent of the manager.
Yes.
Just to basically, stock the cupboard so that someone can come in and do what they want to do.
Which is what a sporting director should
Yes.
do,
But they all have kind of the, Guardiola's prints all
the
over.
peppiest prince.
Yeah.
It feels like this generation's Gundogan, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Because Reijnders is a fascinating player, I think, because I wasn't entirely sure if he was elite. And I think there's still a bit of a conversation about just how good he is. And it's only really been in the last 18 months, maybe even less than that, but that he's come out as a bit of a playmaker for Milan, who I appreciate haven't had the best of seasons. And I suppose it was triggered maybe from the Euros a couple of summers ago, where he stepped up a bit for the Netherlands. And so I'm really interested to see what kind of license he gets, because for Milan, he obviously does go a bit back and forth like Gundogan. And we've seen what Pep's able to do. He's able to isolate some of these players and I suppose shave off the edges. Sometimes we like those edges, but with someone like Reijnders in that particular position, I suppose he's just going to be more productive. But very exciting signing.
But you're right to say, I mean, Grealish should be a great example of that, of course. But I think with him, it's more sort of a tightening up and focus.
Yeah.
I mean, a great example was...
Sometimes we like the mistakes, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think it's going to, as you've touched on, I think it's going to be an annoyingly good signing.
Yeah, they're very serious, and I know it's not announced or anything yet, but they're also clearly targeting Brian Aït-Nouri, who I think is a brilliant player and will fit their system really well.
It's almost like the man Guardiola knows what he wants.
Yeah, and has essentially a blank checkbook.
Yes.
Why
for now
do AC Milan just sell all their best players every 3 or 4 years and then go be shit and then come back again?
I think it's because, and hear me out here, I think because the kit is so iconic that they can attract players because they just want to wear the shirt.
Wear the shirt,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, fair.
Like João Felix. We talked about when he went there, and it doesn't matter what number he is. He ended up being 79, for fuck's sake. Like a linebacker. But we were like, look, I mean, that is got to get that shirt.
You do.
So I think there's a bit of that. I think it's quite aesthetic. Pete.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's to do. Yeah,
and that suits João Felix down to the ground.
Yeah.
It's not actually that good.
Yeah.
But it really looks the part.
Yeah.
That'll teach you for trying to find an actual proper and decent meaning, Peter.
Sorry, yeah,
If you stay shirt deep like we do,
Yeah.
then the world will make a lot more sense.
His mum's quite handsome.
Right.
João Felix's mum.
Well, obviously.
Reijnders.
Oh, okay.
So you've
Handsome
just been
mum.
sat here Googling
Handsome mum.
his mum.
Handsome mum. Angelina Reijnders.
That's where we are. We're in that little bit of June, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post
Little
Champions
bit of
League.
June.
The Nations League
Peter's
hasn't come
cruising
along.
for ladies.
Every day is the last day of school.
Yes. So again, another reason why the Club World Cup is good news. We'll have less of Pete googling what people's mothers look like.
I don't know that's true.
I mean, yeah, that's.
But on air. Right, let's
This
move
is on
on.
board.
I want to stay with AC Milan men and those who could come to the Premier League. Because Chelsea, how about this? Chelsea reportedly contacted Milan regarding the availability of goalkeeper Mike Maignan.
Just don't stop picking up the phone, Milan. What are you doing? You're not going to have any players left.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't be Chelsea, will it?
Fucking room service at the moment.
I'll tell you what, that would be a phenomenal signing for Chelsea.
Yeah.
So much is
You reckon?
Oh, come on.
It's an obvious point that they can improve, isn't it? And he's a very, very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, France is number one.
Yeah.
No,
Good
but-
age.
He's needed elsewhere, though, in the Premier League. He's needed elsewhere.
Where?
He's not a missionary, though, is he?
Yeah,
Because
Why are you hanging out in the cities? Go to the favelas.
exactly. Where would you have him then, Peter?
Old Trafford. I'd have him at Old Trafford.
That
I'd
is
have
a
him
fair...
at Newcastle.
Yeah,
I'd have him in
No,
every
Newcastle
team.
look like they're going to get James Trafford, which would be a great
Right.
signing. Why do you hate Mike Maignan that much that you would send him to Old Trafford?
I just think just to help them out. I just feel sorry for them.
Well, I think, what is he, 29, 30? He would be the oldest player in that squad, I think, if he was to join them.
he would,
Nice.
Which is crazy to think. And obviously they signed, about enough goalkeepers to sink a battleship, for crying out loud. So they might have to shift one or two, but I'm sure they will. There's a lot of loans coming out of Chelsea.
Yeah.
If you're in for a loan deal, have a look at
They've
some of
already
them
done
keepers.
so many deals, and there's people coming in and out, and it's never boring there, is it? It's a proper revolving door. And they're still in for another striker, despite signing Liam Delap as well.
You know those cages you see in supermarkets that where you can rent a rug doctor, carpet cleaner.
Which supermarket
Chelsea should just have a couple of footballers in there.
Okay. Is that the middle aisle of Lidl? Is that where you're going with that?
No, it's usually.
I've seen a Chelsea footballer or two in the middle aisle of Lidl before.
Yeah, exactly.
I can loan him.
Is this a brand Chelsea striker or that's weird?
Yeah,
Are
strange.
they allowed to do that?
Well, Maignan, though, the fee for him wouldn't actually be that high. I mean, I suppose he's, you'd argue he's in a peak of his career, and obviously goalkeepers can go on a bit longer at that age. But he's only got a year left on his contract, and Italian clubs always could do with a few quid.
Yeah.
So
they'll just sell themselves John Terry if they need to raise a bit of cash.
Indeed, they will. Yeah, they could do that. So I think that'd be a great signing if Chelsea could do it.
It's great value if you buy a goalkeeper and you get it right, and they're lipping good.
Yes.
Like you could, it's like a Toyota or something. It just goes on for ages.
Yeah,
you could have another 12 years with him.
What was the car you had? Is it the current car you're driving? The one that you had to fix
It's
up? Or
from Japan. It's not a Toyota.
But did you return another car? Am I misremembering that? Didn't you buy a car and return it?
Got rid of a Jaguar, got a Toyota
That's it.
instead. So
The
it's
Jaguar.
Was that the one you?
Toyota.
Was that the one you pushed off the cliff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took
With
the
all
car
those
batteries out, 'cause
files in it.
Car batteries belong in rivers, not seas.
So the Jaguar is the Chelsea equivalent of Kepper.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
Right,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah.
Because he'll be going back, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, of course.
Because he was only on loan at Bournemouth.
Of course.
I mean, there is chat that they want
It's
to.
a proper goalkeeper sanctuary, isn't it?
It's a merry-go-round. I might
Yeah,
say.
a goalkeeper sanctuary, and then in 3 years' time there'll be a Netflix documentary about how badly they're treated.
Yes.
And it'll be like body cam footage of like just
They're making them
Kepper
fight.
rocking back and forth in a cage. Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll all break down at the same time. It's like white goods.
Yeah.
It's like we bought all of it at the same time, and now look.
Yeah. So we look for. I mean, who's going to be the number one at Chelsea next season? I think they'll get Matt. I think if they get
without
him.
a doubt,
If they get him,
I
Jim.
think they'll get him.
Okay. There we are.
There you go.
Debate settled. Sorry, Robert Sanchez. Coming up after this, some ins and outs at Old Trafford.
He's on. Get in! Get in! He's miles on. Come on! Come on! What a bit of play by Rasmus and Bruno. He's fucking miles on. He's what? He's miles. Well, Oh, get out! Cock a cat!
So genuine, isn't it?
And I like that he's sort of slightly whispering as well, like not to wake up his children.
To wake up the Williams.
Mark Goldbridge there reacting to an offside decision. Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Let's go to Goldbridge's beloved Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes has rejected a move to the Saudi Pro League club Al Hilal. He will not be teaming up with Alexander Mitrovic. More fool Bruno. It was expected that Al Hilal were prepared to offer between 80 million and 100 million to sign Fernandes from Manchester United. They were offering him, some reports said 600 grand a week, some said 700 grand a week. Incredible. So in 3 years, he would have pocketed about £200 million plus.
At least Ratcliffe's probably there thinking,
Can I play?
Yeah, at least go there and then bring some back.
Yeah. Send it home.
Bring a bit of it back.
Yeah.
Wire it.
Yeah.
Wire it back, please.
Western Union.
Western Union.
I think they're I think they're a sponsor of Manchester United. Western Union.
Discount?
Yeah.
Discount on the fees,
No
probably.
fees.
Yeah.
That's true, no questions asked. An astonishing amount of money that he's turned down because he still wanted to play at the highest level.
Also,
He said-
we should clarify this because I think a lot of I totally agree with like a lot of the dismissiveness towards Saudi Arabia, particularly their intentions with football. Full stop. He's also on a lot of money at Manchester United as well.
a lot of money, not that much.
He
but
is
he's still-
fine. He's set for
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, he is. I did find it funny though that he said for his reasoning that some of the quotes came out and he talked about talking to his family and blah blah blah, and then he said, "But I still want to play at the highest level. This is about my professional career goals. I still have passion for the sport."
Right.
And Manchester United, Bruno, you're going to
So obviously
did not mention that he loves the club or anything.
You're presumably closer to the Man United beat in terms of feverishly, constantly googling news about your club, as we all do. Do you think there's any? Is that a bit of chicanery from people, or do you think he's genuinely thinking, you know what, I might jump ship?
I mean, I think it's a bit of both. I think you can't have watched Bruno over all these years and think there's a guy who will happily park his competitive edge just to earn a lot more money because he's already on a lot of money and his competitive edge is clearly a huge driving force behind the standards he sets and the ambitions he still has within the game. I think he, I do actually believe, even in this modern age of doubting everything, I do believe that he does actually love Manchester United.
I do.
And a lot of this,
I think he does.
a lot of what Manchester United have been through pains him. A lot of and part of that is because he's been the heart and soul of the club for so long. I also do believe that he would like to play, for a club where his needs on the field will be met, as far as
Those
quality
through
of
balls
teammates.
won't be going to waste.
No, exactly, yeah. And so, I feel that both are true. I do wonder if the signings, and I'm pretty sure we'll go on to them, but the signings that Manchester United are making and have made are done with a view to keeping him to a point, but at the same time, I don't think that works on a balance sheet. So it might even just be a case of Manchester United have to help facilitate this move. It just so happens that he's not going to move to Saudi Arabia where they would get the most money.
Yeah, he did say himself, didn't he, that he said, I'll only leave if it's good for the club. Yeah. Which I think is fair. I mean, look, I would wonder if he stayed there for this season, the coming season, next season, but if it's still in the same place, then I think he'd be like that. Come on, this is crazy. And
I think he'll be a very, very low priority outgoing. When we consider Garnacho will almost certainly leave. If they can shift Rashford as well, that will probably play a part in that. So even if those two players go, and they'll move Sancho on as well. Probably not for a huge amount, but it all counts, won't it? I think he'll end up staying there.
Yeah, no, I think he would as well. And as I say, joking aside, he clearly does love that football club. I think with Bruno Fernandes, to me, strikes me as a player who likes to be the main man. We spoke about this the other day, and I wouldn't see him going to a side where he has to kind of sacrifice a bit about what he's himself or fit into another system. I'm no doubt he could do that, but I think he relishes being one of the main names on the team sheet, if you like. And I think, again, the prospect of trying to get Manchester United at least a couple of steps back in the direction where they want to go. I think that's probably a one that it's a huge challenge, and one that I think someone like him would perhaps relish. I know we look at it and think, well, bloody hell, why would you want to go there? But as you say, getting Mateus Cunha in, I think is a really good signing. And now there's talk of Brian and Bumo
I mean,
joining, which I think would be, I mean,
that's the most exciting. If Manchester United pulled that off, that to me personally, that's the most excited I'll be about a signing since Bruno.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I sort of wonder. Obviously, he's used to playing in a kind of front three, and the system will be a bit different. But I think he's that good.
But he does go quite central.
He does, yeah.
And I suppose that's the key thing in what they've identified in him. Yeah.
I mean, this could be their crowning glory of ruining a footballer. I mean, he's that good.
You reckon that they can?
They're going to have to work very hard to grind him down.
They would do, yeah. I mean, presumably that they would be like the two number 10s though that he wants to play with old Amorim.
Possibly.
I mean, I know there's chat that Brian Mbeumo apparently wants 250 grand a week, which would be a significant up increase on his 50 grand a week. But
he's at 25, the season he's just had, I think that's perfectly reasonable and about the market rate for a player that good.
Yes. No, I don't think it's unreasonable.
And I also think that's probably why Manchester United are front of the queue.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're willing to offer.
Yeah.
4 days into the first transfer window, and I can't believe it. But if that comes to fruition, Man United are absolutely winning the transfer window, which is a thing. It's not, but I mean, they are undoubtedly two of the standout performers of the last season, and that will be a huge double coup if they can get hold of them. I'm honestly surprised they still have that sort of pull, but there you are.
Same, and I think it's purely on the wages. I was thinking about how good Mbeumo would be for Manchester United a couple of seasons ago, and in that time, I feel like Manchester United fell so far down that this is such a huge surprise to me. Even though we know it's probably coming from the fact that Manchester United are willing to offer a decent amount of wages with fewer caveats, I suppose. But still, if they pull it off, then fair play.
But I mean, it seems to be that he just likes Man United a lot, because to me, if he were to move to Newcastle, that's a brilliant fit. That's a perfect fit. Maybe he just doesn't want to make Jacob Murphy sad, as no human being would.
Good point, actually.
But that seems a no-brainer.
He would genuinely have more competition in Newcastle.
Yeah, of course he would. But it's
because
maybe you don't want the competition.
Maybe he doesn't.
That front three though. Do you imagine that?
I agree.
Isaac and Mbeumo.
I thought he would go to Newcastle just because of what you said.
That's class.
That's outrageous.
It is outrageous, and that's the kind of front three where you think, if they want to make a bit of a splash in the Champions League, and they, dare I suggest, want to even have a tilt at the title next season, which they should, I think that's not ridiculous. I think that's something that should be in the focus. Yeah, of course. I thought, I tell you what, if you're in Brew, I honestly thought you'd go there. But as you say, Vish, maybe it is the wages, maybe as well. You know what it's like, Manchester United. Whatever happens, they still have the pulling power. They just do. And when he's growing up, he will be much more aware of Manchester United.
Generationally, though, do you not think, like where they were when he was growing up, he's still, as you said, 26.
25, isn't he?
Yeah, but more so than, say, Newcastle United. So,
look, it's the next generation where they won't be interested. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe that's it.
Now.
It has to be it. That has to be
But like you said, that front three at Newcastle would have been outrageous, but maybe he doesn't want outrage. Maybe he doesn't want to be Sid Vicious. Maybe he wants to be an Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. Or a Crash Holly. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Well, that's brought us back down to earth, hasn't it? So it's good to see that you're excited, Vish, about Manchester United, because it's been such a shite season, and really the last last couple of years, it's still an FA Cup win, isn't it? Or a League Cup win. But there does seem...
I am only getting excited about money here. So,
well, we know how you operate,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Newcastle could match those wages. I'm sure of it. So it's, I do think
not necessarily.
No, I think what Manchester United, quote unquote, have is, because of the wages they've offered people, the structure itself that's in place is so out of whack that if you went to somewhere like Newcastle, they would have
demure, isn't it?
But they would have to turn to a lot of their squad and be like, right,
he's the highest.
I know you're annoyed, and we're probably going to have to lift a few here. So there's a knock-on, I suppose, cost of getting in Mbeumo for that. But yeah, we'll see.
I imagine Callum Wilson's, who'll probably leave at the end of the season, his wages, or maybe not actually, his wages probably weighted very heavily into how many games he actually plays. So.
Yes, Peter, good point. Rio Ferdinand was also very excited, Vish, about what's going on at Manchester United. He was particularly pleased that they're going to keep Bruno Fernandes by all accounts. He said that he dropped Fernandes a text after he made the decision not to go to Saudi, and Rio said, "I couldn't have woken up this morning happier, and I did message him. I won't go into the details of that."
Ooh, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Hi, Bruno. Do you want picking up this morning, kiss?
Yeah. Also, it's weird though, because he said he was happy, and then he said he messaged him. So we know he just messaged him saying, Mate, you made the right choice.
Happy,
Yeah.
This is what you'd be missing.
Yeah.
You won't get this anywhere else, Bruno.
Text from me.
Please stop texting him.
Have you seen that Inter have made contact with Manchester United about Rasmus Højlund to sign him on loan? Poor old Rasmus.
Yeah.
I wish him well. I think that's a nice move. I think Andy posited it earlier on in the season that a loan move back to Italy there was a lot of talk on that. And Inter are a big club. I know they embarrassed themselves in front of everyone the other day.
Yeah, and he looks like the last thing they need. But such as the Bermuda Triangle of Man United, he'll probably go there and do well.
Yeah, he will.
We've seen it so many times.
Lukaku managed to win a league title there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, loads of
dominate.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking specifically of Inter.
Darmian, Ashley Young.
Yeah. The list goes on.
It does.
It really does.
Let's not go.
Yeah.
See?
There we are. A lot of them go. I suppose. They definitely will win a medal if they go away from Manchester United, as Jadon Sancho did, won the Europa Conference League. He looks like he's going to be back, though. Chelsea have paid a $5 million penalty fee to Manchester United after failing to agree terms to sign him permanently. That's got a slap for old Jadon, hasn't it?
It's an icky thing, that.
It's fine. They'll just sell themselves Idaho Johnson and so on.
Somebody on Twitter who was trying to be way too clever compared him to Jemima Beckham.
Fucking hell!
Just trying to be way too clever. It's like, you're a fucking idiot, mate.
Jesus.
Jemima Beckham, stateless.
I thought you said Jemima Beckham. I was like,
who's Jemima Beckham?
I missed out on that one.
Wow.
Yes, that's an awful comparison. But,
it is, yeah. Awful situation.
Indeed.
There's nothing we can say to salvage this section now.
No.
Yeah. Well,
they started it.
The funny thing is,
he started on Twitter, the clever blog trying to be clever.
The thing for Sancho is they said that his attitude was good, trained well, producer moments, but it was the consistency, and they were just not really too sure.
Is that a wages problem? Is that just his wages are way too high?
I don't know.
It's a bit of a red herring, this thing, anyway, because they didn't pay a loan fee for him, and loan fees are fairly common now. And they loaned Axel Disasi to Villa, and it was Renato Vega to Juventus as well, and they got loan fees in of about $5 million for that. So this isn't actually that bad. It just sounds bad because they're choosing to pay a penalty rather than
front dating it,
because it would have presumably been rolled into the transfer if that actually went through.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, actually, some reports just read now that they were unwilling to match his Man United deal, so maybe the wages were a problem. I don't know, but he is under contract until the 30th of June at Chelsea. Could he play in the Club World Cup? It seems unlikely. It does seem totally pointless, but we'll see.
Is that a new shop window?
Yeah. For crying out loud, can just Man United just give him back to Dortmund? Everyone's happy, apart from Sir Jim.
Yeah.
It just, come on. Oh, you hear that Joe Bellingham might be going to Dortmund as well?
That's very likely to be completed very soon as well.
I mean, that's...
You know what? Joe Bellingham has no choice but to live in the shadow of his brother, so why not go all in?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah,
They're obviously a very, very confident pair of young men. Just do it.
But that's what it is. He's leading into it. Joe Bellingham has the chance next season to play in the Premier League, something that Jude Bellingham has never done.
In a way, he's really earned as well.
Exactly, yeah. So it'd be quite exciting. I understand that, at the moment, much is said about, the teams would probably come back down and blah, 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 and totally get going to Dortmund, playing for that club, in front of those fans, much higher level and so on. But yeah, you're right. He'd just be like, if I go there, I'll be at Real Madrid in a few years. Surely that's how I think he's thinking about it.
Yeah, it feels a little Matty Longstaff to me. feels a little Sammy Amiobi to me.
That's the danger, isn't it, I suppose? But
we have to, that's... With all due respect to the Longstaffs and the Amiobis, that is outrageous to be thrown in with Bellingham there.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, I should say that Dortmund
could have been worse. Could have been stateless.
I think we got that.
Could have been the craze, couldn't it?
Could have been the craze.
Compared with the craze.
Yeah. Could have been like that guy Tom Hanks played in the film Airport or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
The Terminal.
The Terminal. I was desperately trying to think of a more.
The TV on like UK TV.
Yeah. Was he the camp security guy?
Yeah.
Getting upset about missing their EasyJet flight.
Yeah. Matt Lucas played him in that thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's we
Do you remember he browned up on the BBC, Tom Hanks?
At every single opportunity. Yeah.
Oh dear.
National treasure.
Well, Borussia Dortmund are competing in the Club World Cup as well, so maybe Job's thinking I could be playing at the highest level of football.
If this goes well, we need to be petitioning the Bellinghams to have more children.
Yeah.
Keep them on production.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Keep them coming.
They're our La Masia.
Bellingham Park. We just extract the amber from the parents of the Bellinghams.
The amber.
You extract the bits and bobs that you need, the DNA, and then we make a Bellingham Park.
Bellingham DNA.
They do score in herds.
Clever Jude. Yeah. If Joe Bellingham does go to Borussia Dortmund, then he won't be the only man who's going from this fair island to Germany. Mark Flecken has left Brentford to join Bayer Leverkusen.
Which is ideal for Ten Hag, isn't it? Because a lot of people going the other way.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Ten Hag, of course. Did Flecken know that? He's like, oh, you.
Hang on.
Ah. Right, okay.
You're the one from the meme.
It's a good move for Flecken, I think. Obviously, Bayer Leverkusen will be going for titles and whatnot. But it's a shame, considering the great season he's had at Brentford. I'll be sad to see him go. However, Brentford have responded immediately, getting in Caoimhin Kelleher.
Huge.
Come on,
I like that.
We all like that. That's a
Could be an upgrade.
It's a belter.
Flecken's a good goalkeeper, but Keller's very, very good.
He is. I think. Yeah, to say after the season Flecken had, say, upgrade, it's at least equal.
25 professional games, 25 sort of, Liverpool starting 11 games. That's a big.
I suppose it is a small sample size.
He's got a big.
Hang on, Brentford fans. Here comes the cold water.
Enjoy it. Drink it in.
He can hit a penalty.
He can, yeah.
He can, yeah. There's also I don't think we really know how good he is. Because he played.
Remember in that era at Newcastle.
Yeah, but see, that's the only one I can think of, though, right?
Oh, he used to be. He's not particularly imposing with his shot stopping, but at the same time, he was playing as Alisson's understudy in a system that is pretty comfortable to move into, and a lot of the mistakes he would make were because he was trying to replicate what Alisson was doing.
So 25 appearances in the Premier League, but I mean 67 in total for Liverpool. He's obviously played a lot in the Cups. He's played in Europe as well. So, I mean, at the age of 26, he said that he wants to be a starting goalkeeper for a Premier League side, which is very, very
earned
fair.
that, I think.
Yeah, and he's played in huge games. He's played in cup finals as well. And as you mentioned, he's Alisson's understudy, so he's learned from the best. He's played in a team where much was demanded.
And Brentford do their homework with this stuff.
They really do. So I think this will go very, very well indeed. Kelleher, it will be an adjustment for him because, being at Anfield's one thing, and obviously, the G-Tech is another, but a stadium which is kind of, would you call it a fortress? It's certainly a fortress of fun. There's a lot of goals down there at the...
Fortress of Fun sounds like it's inflatable.
It sounds,
which is not that intimidating.
And hosted by Pat Sharp.
It sounds like Sharp's going to make an appearance at some point.
Another reference to the kids there.
Yeah. Well, I just remember Fulham winning 3-2 there towards the end of the season, that's all.
Now, this is on me, obviously, but I've only really this season become aware of the needle between Brentford and Fulham. You sort of think of Fulham as a team that don't really have a rival that care about them that much, but it's spicy.
It's up the chain. Chelsea are bothered by Spurs, really.
Yeah.
Fulham are bothered by Chelsea. Brentford bothered by Fulham.
Oh, is that right? That's the pecking order, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good signing. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And also as well with Kelleher, might have slightly bit of distribution. Is it all the rage these days, Vish?
Well, that's what I mean in terms of his in terms of the homework that Brentford would have been doing, because they are quite good at piecing together, like, when they'll go, for example, they'll go into distribution stats and they'll see maybe like, 50% completion rate, and they will literally pour through all the, all the like long passes or whatever, and look at whether it was like a miscontrol, whether he had the right idea, whether they've got the right like fade on a particular type of I suppose crossfield ball. So I think they've obviously done a lot of that. It's about getting him confident enough to replicate all that on the field.
Yeah. And also, I think there's a handsome factor as well. He's a handsome lad. Flecken is too, but Kelleher, I think.
Again, in Alisson's shadow, because you're next to a Hemsworth. Don't stand next to a Hemsworth.
Well, he won't be anymore.
No. Marcus, before we move on, would you want to play, if you're a Brentford footballer, or soon to be Brentford footballer, would you want to play at the GTEX Community Stadium when you've got reviews like this coming in? Under 3 weeks ago, Janice Adams reviewed on Google Maps. Last time I was here, the crisps are out of date. I'll be bringing my own next time.
That is a Fulham fan, isn't it?
The next one is the stadium is beautiful, but the security on the entrance, especially the old one with wet red hair, and the bigger guy without hairs and glasses, are pure racists. They hate people who are from Austria.
The man without hairs.
The man without hairs is racist towards people from Austria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, mind them. Bring your own crisps, and you should be fine.
Yeah.
Don't expect to see Brian and Boomo.
Don't let on that you're Austrian. Crying out loud.
Where was
I'm
that?
German.
Where was that 80 years ago?
Coming up after this, the Nations League is back. That's right, everybody. We've waited long enough.
Long
for this.
enough.
Gordon Bennett, we've made it. Germany versus Portugal in the Nations League tonight at 8 p.m. It's a big one, Jim.
Nothing like a tournament summer.
No, it isn't.
2 tournament summer.
2 tournament summer.
Yeah.
We
No, I'm
really...
saying there is nothing like a
Correct.
tournament summer.
Yeah, well, and you're going to have one this summer, baby girl. Germany face Portugal at the Allianz tonight in the semi-final of that Nations League. Of course, many PSG fans invaded the pitch at the Allianz after the weekend's Champions League final and took pieces of the pitch. And like me, I've no doubt everybody listening to this was shouting at the TV saying, "Get off the pitch!" The Nations League the Nations League is next week, so hopefully there won't be too many divots in there. But if there is, no doubt Cristiano Ronaldo will take advantage of them. Can he play for Portugal now? He's clubless.
Yes.
I imagine he can. Yeah.
Well, they changed the rule. That would be quite an odd thing to think. That he would be involved as a clubless man, Peter.
Well, so you just don't know what sort of form he's bringing at these fixtures because he's not playing any football. So it's probably quite a smart move.
Yeah.
He's like that girl. What was it? Actually, no, don't worry about it.
Great gambit, Cristiano. Just don't play any football. No one knows that you're shit anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather see him on the beaches of Canada because he's clubless.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, seals.
Something to do with seals?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of confusing, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I never did it.
It's Germany's
This is
first.
supposed to be your section. You're supposed to bring your A game.
Exciting.
Nations
Yeah,
League.
get your
Can't
favourite
do it.
tournament.
I'm looking
Shite
forward to
like
it.
Bring your
that.
crisps, Marcus.
Yeah, you're out of date crisps.
Bring your out of crisps.
My banter's out of date, clearly. So I'm going to nick some of yours. It's a huge one, Germany versus Portugal. I think you'll agree. And Germany are the host nation. And Germany at the moment... Obviously, they're a decent side. I mean, they impressed a bit in the Euros. It's fair to that they went out to that Spain side, who of course won the competition and were brilliant all the way through it. But I sort of think that Germany might have a little bit of something to prove. I think on the international stage because they haven't done very well in other than the last tournament. You think about the World Cup; they were terrible. Euro 2020 went out in the last. The second round against England, of course. Now, I know, it was a decent England side, England at home, blah, 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 blah. But still, for Germany's standards, they haven't really done that much at a major tournament. Not since they won it in 2014, the World Cup, of course, have they done that much. Well, okay, semi-finals at Euro 2016, but other than that, it's not been that inspiring. I think even though it's just the Nations League, but going into the World Cup next summer, I think there's something to prove here.
I'm expecting a decent match here because they've scored a hatful of goals in their up to the quarter-final fixtures, obviously, and I think it's going to be a good one. It's a nice little sort of post-season Club World Cup entree, like pre kind of transfer window proper.
Yes.
Little entree.
Yeah.
Very much
but what do you
enjoying
think, Vish, about the Germany and the international stage? Because you don't. The fear factor is not quite there. They had, as I say, had a bit of it, and if they were on the other side of the draw to Spain, I think they would have probably got to the final.
Yeah.
So I don't want to underplay what they did in the Euros last time round because a quarter-final exit, it's still respectable getting to a quarter-final, but they did play against quite clearly the best team in the tournament and took them to extra time.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the fear factor just comes from your front line, yeah? And if you think of the three players off the striker, certainly the three that are posited to start in this game against Portugal, Serge Gnabry, Florian Wirtz and Leroy Sané. Now, we know Wirtz has been in unreal form for the last two years.
He's coveted.
Yeah, and I suppose the other two, we know how high a ceiling they have, and occasionally they hit it, and that's great. But and I suppose that's maybe where it comes from. I also like the idea that the latest reports suggest that Füllkrug is going to start up front for them.
Wow, love that.
But in the space of a year, we've gone from Füllkrug, God, he's quite an underrated striker, to look at this clown that West Ham have who just calls them shit all the time.
I think they're going to really play themselves into the hearts of Marcus Speller, just international football lovers in general. Because Goretzka will probably be back against the Portuguese because he's back in the squad and he's obviously going to be playing at the Allianz. So nice.
Yeah, Pascal Gross as well.
Yeah.
Like
Big fan of that.
They've sort of got their own Hendo there, haven't they, with Goretzka? He's got a lot of stick.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
10 years younger.
I do think as well, Wirtz and Musiala are going to be huge players for them for a long time. And they're both 22, right? So I think there's a sense that possibly to some degree they are at the start of a cycle.
But when you think about the Portugal side, little Vitinha in the centre of the pitch, Neves in there as well. Mendes. You look at some of the players. I mean, they've had some. A few of their number were important for the PSG side. We could have the likes of Rafael Leao, as I say, Cristiano Ronaldo up front. He'll be up front, won't he? He just will. Bruno Fernandes. I mean, again, Portugal have got such a star-studded side.
Oh, maybe he's where Vitinha got his powers from. I was saying the other day, didn't I, that Vitinha's done some deal with the devil, clearly. Maybe it was actually Ronaldo.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I think that it's... I think this is a lovely one. I really do. Luke and I will be doing a Ramble React straight after the game, by the way. So get that in your lug holes when it is released. Of course, Portugal won the inaugural trophy of the UEFA Nations League in 2018-19. Germany's first appearance in the semi-finals. A bit of narrative, not really.
Narrative for a very shallow pool of data.
Exactly, yeah. Now, let's turn our attention to good old England. Now, I have long talked about the heat of North America.
You have, yeah.
I really have. And it worries me. Well, England have heard my concerns and they've responded. They have been using heated tents as a part of training to replicate the conditions they could experience at the World Cup in the US, Canada and Mexico next year.
Thomas Tuchel's intent is that it will be intense.
Correct, Jim.
People are saying.
And we always have to caveat, assuming they qualify. Okay. I remember 94.
They're not messing around, are they?
No, they're not. Well, according to the BBC, there have been warnings that temperatures at 14 of the 16 stadiums that will be used for the 2026 World Cup could exceed potentially dangerous levels during the tournament. In the host city Dallas, for example, in an average year, more than 80% of June and July days exceed 28 degrees, and it's bloody humid down there. So Thomas Tuchel has said of this, I have done pre-season in America, in Orlando specifically, which of course we know that's where Florida is where the Irish suffered in '94, and he said, I would be very surprised if we do not suffer. Suffering is one of the headlines for this World Cup.
Brilliant. It was also the headline for the last World Cup.
So in a very different way. Yeah, I mean, they have to do something because I have stressed this so much. I know it's such a boring and but it is such a huge factor.
I mean, I remember USA '94 being a good tournament, but mate, am I forgetting what a difference the sort of energy-sapping weather made?
Water for the boys. He needed water for the boys in the island side, didn't he?
Maybe it will just be that there'll be more mistakes.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
The focus and the intensity is going to be
more Italian goalkeepers getting chipped.
Perhaps.
Not us, though, with our little tent plan.
Yeah.
Thomas Tuchel,
tent weapons.
like knifing 4 reel to his arm. Going, this is what this summer's going to be all about.
Kendall mint cake as well. It's like the Duke of Edinburgh, just like
a little St. Bernard with a tiny little
yes, brandy.
Little
brandy will do it.
Nip of brandy.
I'm telling you, Ivan Toney's going to get a call up because he plays in Saudi. He's going to go in his
We should pick from the warm places.
Yeah. Hot lads.
Bournemouth,
Call them the hot lad squad.
microclimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they move the stadium to like sandbanks next season.
Yeah.
and Harry Redknapp manages England for just one tournament.
Jude, obviously. Trent.
Yes.
Who else? Everyone from the south. Ooh, where's he going to go? Eric Dyer's going to be in Monaco. That's going to be warm.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
It's got the makings of a squad.
Yeah.
There we are. Nothing to worry about, everybody. Should be a lovely old time. Now, gentlemen, I want to talk about a former England man, Wayne Rooney. He posted pictures of him and his family riding roller coasters at Alton Towers. That was lovely.
Joyous.
Wasn't that lovely?
I like the fact that I just always imagine that there's like a sort of fairgrounds for very, very, very rich people that only they go to. But I like the fact that they just, attend Alton Towers, and I'd like to see him at Flamingo Land or.
I'd like to know more about these like billionaires.
Yeah, like they must.
Is this like the thing you told us about Tom Cruise?
No, it's like.
Was it you that told us that? Oh, I've got questions for you after the show, please.
Please, no. My children.
After the show. On Uncut.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. The fairground. I said nothing of the sort.
Cruise is a Patreon.
the fairground. I just like that he has to sort of. Presumably, he's got like a fast pass or something.
Yeah.
Or he goes in at 5 o'clock in the morning where you can just go on all the rides by yourself.
Does he get a fast pass?
You
Well, you just
surely.
buy one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Most kind of like Disney places have fast passes.
What,
where
like,
you've got the
like
front
Anton
queue.
Deck did on the Queen's funeral?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
Was it Anton Deck? Or
No, it was Holly or Phil.
Sorry, Anton Deck.
And he said, "This is the worst thing that's going to happen to my career this year." He said.
Whereas David Beckham, I reckon he queues up for all the roller coasters.
I reckon he does. Yeah.
Beckham tried to cheat, didn't he? For the
Not the Queen's funeral. No, he queued the whole way.
Okay.
Much was made about that, and he was looking fine as well, as he often did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes the roller coaster that only got to the left.
Yeah. He had a little. He had fortunately to sustain him throughout the queue. He had a little box of mushrooms. You just have a little mushroom.
He had a little box of one mushroom.
Don't worry, that'll do me for the next
Here's
12
what I
hours.
sauteed earlier. We should clarify. Wayne Rooney didn't post them. Colleen Rooney posted them and tagged them in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I don't think.
No, actually, no. She just retweeted them because it was actually Rebecca Vardy who posted.
Yeah. This is a honey trap, and we've fallen for it.